Alrighty, what's up guys? Welcome back to a new video on East Coast Manga. So, I've seen some more videos pop up recently, like kind of topic videos, and I really miss doing those. You can't really force those out, like you kind of really have to put some thought into like, what's an interesting topic that people are either asking me or that is just kind of brought up within the community. So I have two topics, one's going to be this video, one will be another video you see in the future. But today is the topic of, is manga a good investment? And we're going to be looking at short term and we're going to be looking at long term. I'm going to be totally honest with you guys, put everything out there. I'm going to give you my true feelings, not just as a manga reader or as a manga collector. Now, is everything I'm going to say today correct? Is it going to, am I going to be able to tell the future? No, I'm not going to be able to. Who knows, maybe a year from now, it's going to be exactly like I talk about, or maybe it's going to be the exact opposite. This is going to be kind of cool to go back to in the future, maybe take a look at and see how things turned out. So for those of you who want a short answer and don't want to stick around for any type of explanation or anything like that, is manga a good investment? I'm going to say no. I think overall you should not be looking at it as an investment. I don't think it's a good investment whatsoever. Could you make a return in the future? Absolutely, but if it's definitely one of the more risky things in my opinion of things you can invest in. So if you want my opinion on that real quick, that's my opinion. No, it's not a good investment. Now, let's get into it for the people who actually want to watch this video and don't just want a quick answer. Let's look at it in terms of going back to the beginning of COVID, because I think a lot of people who started collecting around that kind of beginning of COVID era, at least people who are watching this video. Now, obviously, we have people who have been collecting for a long time, maybe people who have just started collecting. But I know for a fact, right at the beginning of COVID, when everything was shut down, manga videos were booming. Like manga channels, manga videos, everything to do with manga was booming compared to what it was doing beforehand. So we had this huge influx of manga readers. Now, what exactly this is due to is probably, I would put money on it being Netflix and Hulu and Crunchyroll and Funimation pushing anime, especially Netflix has been pushing it really, really hard, which has been fantastic. They've been coming out with some really great stuff. But there was just a lot of free time, a lot of time people were able to spend on YouTube, spend on Netflix, just kind of doing whatever they wanted. And there was also this influx of money to some people because there's definitely a lot of people in this community, whether you're, in your early 20s or you're older or maybe a little younger, but in this kind of generation of people where you were still able to work from home, or you were still able to work for, somehow, or you were just collecting unemployment because unemployment was paying so incredibly well at one point, depending on where you are, that a lot of people had a lot of disposable income that they wanted to spend on things. So that's where I think a lot of manga buying began, as well as, the younger generation of people who are, let's say age 16 and below, where maybe they have some of their own money, but they're also, maybe spending some of their parents' money, which there's nothing wrong with that. It's kind of this thing where, once again, people just didn't really have a lot to do. So I think collecting as a hobby kind of popped up. I think manga reading as a hobby kind of popped up. And overall, as popularity has kind of grown in this short period, the prices have absolutely skyrocketed. I mean, you have series that were sitting, out of print, and you could buy it for a very good price, whether it was iShield 21 or even things like Gantz. I mean, Gantz skyrocketed in price too. Like, I think it was, it was still a little expensive, but, nowhere near $1,500 for a whole set. And another reason why I'm kind of like thinking about it like this is because right now at this current moment, we're seeing a lot of collectors, at least on YouTube, and I'm sure there's probably even more off of YouTube, who are spending their whole stimulus check, or close to their whole stimulus check, on manga, and I'm not just kind of like popping that out of nowhere. There's literally titles that say I've spent my whole stimulus check, or I spent $1,300 or $1,100 or whatever on manga this month. Which, once again, there's nothing wrong with that. Stimulus check is, you get a stimulus check to stimulate the economy, so you're supposed to spend it. But this is why my thinking of like, alright, people are spending that now. There was probably a lot of people who were spending it before now, too. And I think that's also why the prices are just crazy, like, it's just unbelievable what some things are selling for right now. But as I'm sure a lot of us are aware, we're not always going to be in this situation. Then we're not going to get, we're hopefully not going to get a lot more stimulus checks, if even one more stimulus check. You also have a lot more people attending, in-school stuff. It's not all just online school anymore. So things like free time that you'd spend at home, maybe reading some manga, you gotta spend at school now. And don't tell me that people aren't reading manga while they're in online class, because I know for a fact people do that. And it's definitely a lot harder to read manga in school, so that's gonna be cut out a little bit. And obviously that includes, you know, all the way from elementary to college level. I mean, a lot of colleges are having more in-person classes now, as well as work being more in person. So in general, I think people are going to have less free time. I think they're going to have less, you know, money just to throw around in terms of stimulus checks. So that's where I see the situation of like, is manga a good investment? Should I buy these box sets? Should I buy, you know, this manga? Should I buy this, like, duplicates and all this stuff, and just hold it because of the prices that you think are gonna go up or are already kind of up right now? So short term, if you purchase manga for like a steal, a really good price, let's say you're paying $5 a volume goes for $20 or more, do I think that's a good investment to, you know, then pick that up and sell? Obviously, that just makes sense. You know, that's one of those things, if you get it for a steal and you want to sell it, that's great. But if you ask me short term, you know, should I buy this manga set for market value at $500-600 for the set? And, you know, do I think it's going to go up in a couple months? Do I think it's a good deal? Do you think, you know, you'll be able to make profit on it? I would not put my chips on that. It could. It could. Short term's kind of tough because, you know, I right now at this moment, with obviously the stimulus and everything, paying for stuff, I think the prices are going to skyrocket, and also people paying crazy amounts for shonen manga that absolutely have, as like, it's just out of stock. I already made a video on this, but if you want to watch that video, you can go watch that. People are paying disgusting amounts of money for like Chainsaw Man Volume 1. So I mean, short term, you know, a year or less, I could see it going up. I could see it staying pretty stable. Like I said, I personally would not choose manga to make an investment in. I would just pick up stuff that you are interested in, that you get good deals on. You're not paying crazy amounts for it, thinking, oh, I'm buying Mushishi for $1,000, I'm going to be able to flip it for $2,000 in a year from now. Maybe you can, but I would not put money on that. You know, same thing with other series like GTO, you know, Eden It's an Endless World, Gantz. I mean, the list just goes on and on of stuff you can pull out that's out of print. And also something that kind of, before we get into long term, that kind of mixes with long term and short term, is also reprints is always something you got to worry about. Sometimes reprints will actually help the value of the singles, and sometimes it can totally kill the value of the singles. So you know, that's also something you gotta kind of be cautious about. Now, long term, this is something I kind of am a little more interested in, because, you know, I just have some little more reasons to why I don't think long term, now we're talking 5+ years, 3 to 5+ years, it's not going to work out to what people think it is right now because of how hyped it is. Now, I could be totally wrong once again, but one of the reasons why I don't think long term, which, you know, 3 to 5 years, that's not really long term, but I guess that's kind of the scope I'm putting it at, you know, maybe 5+ years. Because first, physical books are not doing well. As technology gets better and better, we have obviously ebooks, we have online scans, whether illegal or legal, you know, like Kodansha Online or Viz or whatnot. I know the Shonen Jump app is actually getting pretty popular just because of the amount of shonen series that you can read on there for, you know, like $2.99 a month. But yeah, I mean, books in general, as we've seen, you know, Borders totally closed down. Barnes & Nobles is still open, thank God, because that's actually where a lot of manga is bought from, in terms of, you know, people buying physically. So hopefully Barnes & Noble sticks around, but I can tell you right now, manga is not what's going to keep Barnes & Noble sticking around. It's all the other books in the store. So if those don't start selling more, then I don't know, we might be facing some issues with Barnes & Noble. And I know a lot of people, including myself, like to think that, you know, online manga is not going to take over. If you look at it realistically, you know, as long as you're not blind or as dumb as Florida Coast Manga, you can definitely see that online manga is very popular, and it's getting more popular. And I say very popular because of the amount of people who read scans is just so heavy, especially in the United States. I think Japan also has, you know, it's a ton of people who read scans, whatever. But as much as I like to think that these are all gonna, you know, keep printing and whatnot in the next couple of years, I'm also faced with a dilemma of, like, you know, it might not. It could, but it might not, and it's not going to surprise me. You have to think about it like this. We are in the niche of the niche of the niche. So, you know, so you have anime fans who you know, that's a niche right there on its own. Then you have manga fans, which derives from anime, so that's even more of a niche. And then you have physical manga collectors, which is like the most niche you can get within the community, because obviously manga fans, you know, it kind of splits off between just scan readers and then, you know, physical manga buyers, which is, much lower than scan readers. Also, I know this is a thing that a lot of people also mention, and I think it's very valid, is you look at things like graphic novels and comics in the United States, and I mean, at its peak, those were huge. People thought, you know, first of all, people were buying and selling them for insane amounts of money. Almost actually similar to, you know, what we're doing right now with some of these manga sets. At the end of the day, those are not popular anymore. You know, graphic novels and comics are obviously still, you know, relatively popular compared to everything else in the United States, but at the same time, it is really dropped off, and, you know, there's no one in the comments who's going to be able to tell me that graphic novels and comics have not dropped off in terms of value, because they really, really have. I know a lot of people who have had, like, boxes of comics that they thought they were going to be worth a lot of money and are now worth very little money. Obviously, there's things that are still cost a lot of money and they're worth a lot of money, but overall, if you're talking in terms of bulk, the bulk of things are not super expensive or not what they were valued to be, you know, back in the day. Now, myself, I like collecting rare manga. I love rare manga. I love hard to find stuff. I think the journey is awesome, especially if you don't pay a lot of money for it. That's kind of my whole thing, is I pay for, you know, retail or less for 99% of things I purchase, sometimes even like way less, a couple dollars per volume. And that's really just because I want that. I want those. I kind of want the experience picking them up. And it's also because I'm not expecting them to retain value over the long term. And that's another reason why I don't pay crazy money per volume. You know, overall, I probably paid a decent amount of money for my whole collection. But once again, at the end of the day, I get them for as cheap as I physically can, which is sometimes really cheap, under $1 per volume. And I understand not everyone can do that. That makes total sense. But it's just a matter of, if you are going to spend a lot of money on volumes, don't go in with the intention that you're thinking, oh, you know, and I'll be able to sell these for a lot of money in the future, because you might be able to, and it's great if you are, but I'm just kind of warning people to just be careful when purchasing things. Don't purchase things that you can't afford and that you're planning on selling later, unless, once again, it's something that you buy right now and you could sell the same day for, you know, twice the value. Obviously, that'd be dumb not to pick it up if you wanted to sell something. But yeah, so that's kind of my opinion on the whole situation. I don't think manga is a great investment. I think there's better things to invest in if you are actually investing in something. I think if you're reading stuff and you enjoy the series and, you know, you want to purchase the series regardless, it's absolutely a good idea to purchase it. But don't purchase something thinking, okay, I'm purchasing this at this crazy amount per volume and I'll be able to sell it for even crazier, because you might be able to, but it's not a great way to look at things. So yeah, I would love to hear you guys' opinions and topics down in the comment section. You know, what do you guys think of this? Do you think, you know, manga might be a good investment? So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will catch you guys later. Peace out.